Few weeks ago, I did an initial impression video of the Sabrina 3s, my most anticipated basketball shoe of this year. I love the 2s. I will still contend I am the biggest proponent of the 2s. You might love them as much as me. You won't like them more than me. I couldn't play on court when I made that video because I had a broken foot. I'm out of my boot. I am able to play, not like 100% still. Feels very stiff and still sore sometimes, but at least I'm able to get on court, run around, play in them, get a very good sense of how the Sabrina 3s do. So I'm gonna put the Sabrina 3 toe-to-toe with the Sabrina 2, find out which one of these shoes I would prefer. Here we go. So in terms of the materials for both the 2s and the 3s, nothing too expensive or like too premium here, as you can expect for a shoe that is this price range for Nike. So it both uses like textile and mesh. One big difference though is for the Sabrina 3s, you will see the stitching that is on the toe box here. And I did feel like when I was playing in the Sabrina 3s, that stitching kind of added a bit more reinforcement to the toe area here. So you feel a bit more contained, slightly tighter in the toe box area, and I'll get more to sizing and comfort later. But generally it is very similar. You'll see the cables on the mid panel area. One minor difference is the 2s didn't have these eyelet loops that holds your laces together. We'll see how that kind of holds up durability wise. So generally not too much difference in terms of the materials used. And you'll see the design of the swoosh, very similar to both on the medial side. You get that kind of upward vertical swoosh. According to Nike, that is actually meant to represent Sabrina Ionescu shattering glass ceilings. Their description, not mine. I'm not just making it up. You'll see embroidery that is inspired by her Romanian heritage. You'll see the eye on the booty of the shoe. Signature. The 3s are on the heel, 2s are on the forefoot. So yeah, very, very similar design elements. And again, if you want to know more about the design and details of the 2s and the 3s, go check out their respective videos. I went into detail for both of them. Now moving on to the cushioning of these shoes. Both of them uses a Cushlon 3.0 foam midsole with a firmer Phylon carrier around the Cushlon. And the 2s was actually the first Nike basketball shoe to use Cushlon 3.0. Love that type of cushioning. Perfect balance for like bounciness and softness as well as responsiveness. And at my age, that's definitely what I prefer over like a super stiff, super firm type of cushioning. Both these shoes also has a zoom unit on the forefoot, none on the heel. Obviously would have preferred like 2 zoom units or like full length zoom or something. But again, at this price point, don't expect too much. But overall responsiveness for both of these, I love. That's my favorite thing about this shoe, is that kind of perfect balance in terms of the cushioning. One very subtle minor difference, and you really feel it after you like play in the 3s then switch to the 2s or vice versa, is the 3s slightly more cushioned. So you do feel it a bit more, and it does feel slightly higher off the ground, so not as low as the 2s. So definitely keep that in mind. Do I have a huge preference between the 2? Not really. I think they're both like well cushioned. You just feel a tiny bit more on the 3s. So depending on what you prefer, make your own judgment. For me, honestly, can't really go wrong. Sometimes I love like a lower kind of profile shoe, more court feel, but this isn't like so high off the ground where you don't feel the court as much and you don't get that kind of court sense. But yeah, very minor difference. I wouldn't lean one way or the other. Now moving on to the outsole, this is one thing that has significantly changed. So on the 2s, just herringbone traction, tried and true. On the 3s, you get this S type of outsole, and you see S's all over. And this shoe does come with like that translucent material. One thing about this type of material is it grips hard, very squeaky, as you can hear in the B-roll. However, it attracts a lot of dust. It really does. You have to wipe your feet quite a bit after a while because it's like a magnet. So if you don't play in like a well-maintained gym, keep that in mind. It'll provide great traction, just might accumulate dust quite quickly. You have to wipe your shoes. However, in a decent gym, this will grip tight. Like you're gonna stop on a dime, you might go flying because you stop so suddenly. Sabrina 2s though, doesn't attract quite as much dust. Herringbone, you just can't really go wrong. So out of the 2, even though they're both very good, especially on a decent gym, I think for me, I probably would have to pick the Sabrina 2s. I just like this more traditional type of herringbone setup with this type of material. Now, in terms of the support, both of them has a midfoot shank, so nothing too different there. I feel like for my weight, like a lightweight guard, kind of shifty, you don't really need like insane support. I don't need like a full carbon fiber plate. This is just TPU plates, and both the 2s and the 3s Again, don't expect the most top-notch materials for a shoe at this price point. So yeah, in terms of kinetic energy return, it was very similar. And in terms of like the overall base of the shoe, both decently, like around the same size. Outrigger, very, very similar. Again, not a ton of tweaks to a shoe. In terms of the torsional rigidity, very similar as well. Heel counter does its job on both the 2s and the 3s. So support-wise, I think they're equal. Now moving on to sizing and fit. Here's where I felt the biggest difference when I initially like put my feet into these. When I first did the initial impression of the Sabrina 3 video, one thing that I was kind of nervous about was the sizing and fit of this shoe. Immediately, I was like, this doesn't feel like the 2s. The 2s just wrapped around my big fat wide ugly feet very well. But for the 3s in the toe box area, just felt kind of tight. And I was like, once my foot heals and I get out of my moon boot, I'm able to play in it. I'll see if the material kind of breaks in and kind of becomes looser and starts to feel nicer on foot. And I'm glad to say that it does. So I mentioned before the stitching kind of more reinforced on the toe box area. It definitely provides a little bit more containment in that area, which is why I think still, even after breaking it in, it feels slightly tighter in that area. But honestly, it was no issue at all. No pain, no like discomfort. It was actually pretty good. In fact, when I switched from the 3s to the 2s, I was like, oh, it feels kind of naked around the toe here. You feel the difference, so you're like, there's nothing really wrapping around my foot, like the entirety of it, so felt a little bit more stable on the 3s, and I actually do prefer that. So sizing-wise, for the Sabrina 3s, even if you have wide and fat feet, go true to size. Insoles are both complete garbage. One thing more like heavyweight players had some issues with the Sabrina 2s, the durability of first the foam as well as the materials. For me, I didn't really have any problems. You can see I've worn the shoe a lot. Nowhere has it started to rip. And again, I stress I am a lightweight player. So if you have durability issues with the 2s, I absolutely believe you, but I do feel like it would be slightly improved on the upper for the 3s, because you get a little bit more reinforcement from like the midfoot up. If you keep this to like indoor play and you're not like an insane tank, it should still last you a decent amount of time. So final verdict between the Sabrina 2s and the 3s. Cushioning wise, so similar. You feel slightly more cushioning on the 3s, but you're not as like low to the ground as the 2s. Still really good court feel, very subtle and minor difference. Traction, very close, but I would go with the 2s just because it's a little bit more, I think, versatile with the traditional herringbone. The 3s grips very hard, but that material, at least for this colorway, this pair, as well as the blueprint pair, uses that kind of translucent material. Attracts quite a bit of dust. I think both shoes will perform fine outdoors, but you still might get rocks stuck between those kind of grooves for both these outsole patterns. Slightly kind of more durable rubber, I think, on the 2s, at least for this colorway here. So yeah, traction, both. I don't think you'll have any problems, even in a dusty gym. It'll grip, it'll perform well. You just might have to wipe your shoes a little bit more with the 3s. And I'm someone that really, really prioritizes traction on shoes. So if I don't get like a well-traction shoe, I throw them away. And finally, for support and fit, I think the 3s initially might be kind of, might feel a little tight for wide footers. But once you actually break it in, feels great. You actually feel a bit more contained in the toe area, which after switching between the 2, I actually preferred. Final answer, which one would I prefer? If I had to choose between the 2s and the 3s, I hate that I have to choose. It's like, I don't have children, but I imagine it'll be like choosing between your 2 kids. Let's be honest, most parents probably have a favorite. But it's tough. It is tough. If I could only go with one, I probably pick the 3s. As I get older, that slight 1% to 5% of extra kind of cushioning that I feel on foot probably a little bit more important with my rugged old knees. That extra tiny bit of reinforcement and containment on the toe, that's probably important for me as well. The 3s by like 2%, but man, her shoes are just so perfect. You still just can't really go wrong. Honestly, I think this is the best way to choose. whatever you can find the best deal on. Whatever's cheaper, go for that. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Nike Sabrina 3s. Do you prefer the 3s or the 2s? If you tried them on, let me know how you felt on your feet. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come the way your shoes.